Good morning, everybody. The time is about 8:33. My name is Christian Waugh, and I hereby call this boat launch hearing to order. We follow an agenda for these hearings, and the first item is, as you might imagine, the call to order. I'd now like to ask you to join me for the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the note from the Parks and Recreation Director. If it could be read into the record.
If any person decides to appeal any decision made by the Code Compliance Special Master with respect to any matter considered at this public hearing, he or she will need to ensure that a verbatim record of the proceedings is made, which record shall include the testimony and evidence upon which the appeal is to be based.
And just so everyone knows, I think these hearings are recorded and then aired on YouTube. I'd just like to announce that if I can for anyone who may not be aware. The next item on the agenda is the staff update. I don't know if anyone wants to provide that.
I don't believe there's any revisions to the
Okay,
agenda.
no revisions.
No revisions.
And no abated cases, are there?
No abated case.
Okay. I'm curious, before we get into the cases, are there any minutes to be considered from a prior meeting, or are we going to save that for another meeting to have and approve?
We'll leave it for the next meeting.
Okay.
Since this is a continued.
No, I'm just
Continuing
wondering.
meeting.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. All right, then I guess we'll move on to the cases. I'll only say that before we get into the cases, again, anyone has the right to appeal my orders as provided by the ordinance. The fines are set by the ordinance itself and the Citrus County Code. There's really not a lot of discretion that I have in determining what those fines are. I'll allow the county to proceed. If the county wants.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear that the evidence or affirm that the evidence you shall give to the court in this matter shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Welcome. And what is your name?
I'm Francine Nobles, and I'm the Director for Citrus County Parks and Recreation.
Great. Are you ready to proceed with your first case?
First case, yes, I am. Case number 1, notice of violation, 7845054. On September 4th, 2022, a person in a vehicle with Florida State tag number JRGN71 was recorded by surveillance cameras launching watercraft from the county-owned boat ramp located at Fort Island Gulf Beach. Records were checked to determine the ownership of the vehicle. The records reflected that the vehicle was owned by respondent Jacqueline L. Bradley. A notice of violation was sent to the respondents by certified mail, directing respondent to pay the launch fee or appear at the hearing on June 9th, 2023. Respondent has not contacted the county regarding this notice of violation. The respondent has not paid the launch fee. This is the respondent's first violation within a 6-month period. This would be a $50 administrative fine, along with an administrative cost of $24.88. The county received a packet of backup information from Premium Parking to verify this statement that I have mentioned. I have Exhibit F,
Which Ms. Nobles needs to hand to.
which I would like Premium Parking to verify.
And you called it Exhibit F?
This is Exhibit F.
Yes, since this is the continued hearing, we entered A through E, which we've enlarged for the audience.
That's right.
Would you like a copy of?
I see, okay, I see A through E, gotcha.
Okay.
All right.
And we
So
previously had them entered as well.
Right, now I
pages.
remember. So let the record reflect that we admitted, I think I had done it conditionally, but exhibits A, B, C, D, and E that were going to be used for all the cases. And I know I reserve the right to ask some more questions about them and apply them as needed, but I think they are all admitted. And I don't know if the cameras can pick it up or yeah, actually they can. So let me just take a moment to look. So Exhibit A is the Hernando Beach aerial, and the stars indicate the sign locations.
Correct.
And the sign is exhibit. That's not Exhibit E, is it? That's not on the signs, is it?
It's the same.
That's the sign.
Yes.
It is the
That
sign.
is
So
the sign.
so the star locations on A, B, C, and D are where Exhibit E is displayed. Except it won't say 2932 on all of them. It'll have a different number.
Correct.
Okay.
And the only correction is you have E is actually A. Sorry, the order
I'm
got
sorry.
flipped backwards.
Okay, good.
That one's A, and everything else falls
Gotcha.
afterwards.
Okay, so let the record reflect we've now established what the proper exhibits are. And so B, C, D, and E are simply aerials of each location where Exhibit A is displayed.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so what's Exhibit F?
So Exhibit F, which is provided by Premium Parking, it's the backup information indicating who the individual is and their information as far as the timestamp, location, their trailer plate that's taken by those cameras. I'm sorry.
After we conclude this case, I'm going to have another administrative question. I don't want to do it now. But go ahead, please proceed.
The other Exhibit G will be the USPS tracking verification indicating the delivery that was left with the individual.
Are both going to be introduced through another witness? Exhibits F and G?
Yes,
Okay,
through Premium.
all right. And have y'all sworn, have the Premium Parking witnesses sworn oaths?
Can
Okay.
you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the evidence you shall give to the court in this matter shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
And can you both please state your names for the record?
Charles Dummett.
Stephanie Coons.
Thank you.
So what we're looking at is a
Ms. Coots,
record.
can you please identify how you're currently employed in your connection with the case, please? Yes.
I'm the account manager for the larger Tampa Bay, Citrus County area
With what company?
with Premium Parking.
And do you have a document in front of you?
Yes.
And what is that document?
It's a record made by Premium Parking showing the timestamp at which the violation occurred with photos of the license plate when the vehicle entered and exited, as well as the violation notification that was sent out to the individual. And the record was made at or near the time of the event occurring. The record was made from information with a person of knowledge of the case. And this is a record that we keep in the ordinary course of our business activity at Premium Parking. And it is a regular practice of our business to make such a record.
And the second document that you have that Ms. Nobles indicated was Exhibit G. What is that document?
That is a copy of the tracking information, which we were able to obtain from USPS's website, showing that the certified mailing was in fact delivered to the individual.
And so is that regards both, you've just discussed what has been purported as Exhibit F and G and what those documents reflect. All right, let me take a look. Thank you. So I think when we're presenting these cases, it may be wise to explain from the evidence when the violation occurred. I think for the record, I think in this case, according to Exhibit F, it shows that the violation occurred around 6:35 p.m. on September 4th, 2022. And so my understanding is that this is when, and then 3 minutes later, the plate was read. So how does that work from the software perspective? There's a violation, and that's the fact that it's backing up and launching the boat. Is that when the cameras record a violation, and then 3 minutes later it says exited and the plate read? How does that work?
So that's the time when the camera catches the boat or plate number on the boat ramp. Then 3 minutes is the time when we communicate with our system and says nothing's been paid, and then there's a grace period, and it's sent directly to our people.
Well, let me walk you through it just a little bit. So the first thing I see is on September 4th. This is just so I don't have to do it on every case. And I can,
Okay.
and we're still getting our sea leg. I'm still getting my sea legs. I'll speak for myself
Okay.
on how to handle this. So on September 4th at 6:33 p.m., in 47 seconds, it says parked.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a violation hasn't occurred at that point because it's not illegal to park, so to speak,
Right.
correct? All right, but then 2 minutes later at 6:35 and 48 seconds, it says violation. So what is triggering the fact that there's a violation that's different from the parking?
It's either they did not pay, or if they have an annual pass, it's not found in the system.
Well, but has a boat been launched at that point? Is that the trigger? Is the boat launch being picked up that triggers the violation item?
No, the trigger is the payment, the payment and the plate number, which is in our system. That's the trigger. So
So there's no evidence of a boat launch?
So when the boat launches, there's a payment. So that's the trigger. So we have a grace period. So say someone launches a boat, or they don't have an annual pass, the system will go in and reconcile the plate number with the payment or an annual pass within the system.
How do I know that a boat launch has occurred from this document? I understand what you're saying, by the way. It's just going to need to be explained to me. How do I determine that a boat launch has occurred, that the boat has in fact launched?
Cameras are recording the boat being entering and exiting the launch. So the cameras are focused on the actual launch itself.
Right.
So
Okay.
when the vehicle enters the launch, it captures the plate as they enter the launch, and that's
So is that where the parked item of this occurs?
Correct. The parked is when the camera catches any trailer on the boat launch. And we specifically did that for the county to make sure once a trailer is physically on the launch, that's when it's picked
And that means any trailer that comes in there and parks, it's going to get read and it's going to be noted in your records.
Correct.
But when is that violation? So the 2 minutes later is the time between it being parked and the violation. Does this record reflect that the boat has launched and also a fee not been paid? Is that what the violation means?
Yes.
So your cameras have detected that a boat has launched, and it's already automatically matched the plate to determine that no fee has been paid.
Correct.
Without the launch, your system is not going to check those records, or it's not going to indicate that a violation has occurred.
Correct.
Okay. That's all I needed to know.
Okay.
And then presumably, I mean, according to your testimony, it reads the plate when it's parked, but here it says the plate is read when it's exited.
That's the time frame for when the trailer is on launch itself, and then those 3 minutes is when the time frame that shows if it's been paid or not paid. The caveat is that we do have a grace period. So if someone launches a boat
They can go pay it within a certain,
They can go pay it, and then it just drops off, right?
and it's a 3-minute grace period, roughly?
It's a half an hour grace period.
Oh, okay.
The reason why it says exited, because as soon as it is not reconciled, it goes in our system. So let's say if someone, because we want to give people their time to go ahead and launch the boat in the water and park, might be down the road somewhere. So that gives us some time to go ahead and pay for it. And then once they pay for it, it drops off, right? And nothing's sent out.
If someone comes to challenge, your narrative of how the software works, are you prepared to share your software for inspection?
Yes, we can do that.
Oh, okay. Just curious.
Right.
I don't know if you have to, but I was just curious.
Like if someone says, well, hey, because things do happen occasionally.
Yeah.
I paid. Okay, if you did, give me a receipt number, and we can go into our back office called the operation dashboard, and we can look in and see.
Well, we had an incident last hearing.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
So we can. That's the checks and balances as well.
Okay. Well, let me just go through this. Yeah, there are listed items here that seem to indicate this has a human review, that there's a process for someone at your company to actually review these violations and to confirm whether or not they're accurate. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay.
So it's just two humans that actually look at it, so we get confirmation.
You're not going to let the artificial intelligence get too smart or take anything over. You're going to keep humans in control of these personalities.
It was up to me. The answer would be yes.
Okay. Okay. Okay, I don't want to be pedantic here, but I'm looking at page 4 of Exhibit F where the notice of violation is. And again, this is just important that I lay the groundwork and understand what's going on so I don't have to ask all these questions in each case.
Okay.
Time of violation indicates 6:35, which is exactly what page 2 indicates. And then the photo is 6:38, but the boat is still connected to the truck. So I don't understand. I thought you said the boat would have been launched at that point.
So what we consider a launch is when the boat gets on the boat ramp, right? So the first read of the plate was at 6:35, right? So that's what we consider a launch.
Well, now hold on a second. So why does it say 6:33 parked if that's true on page 2? Isn't it the fact that based on this record, it got there at 6:33?
I'm not saying 6:33.
On page 2. First line.
Oh, okay, page 2. Time park, 6:33 p.m. Time exited, 6:38. Right. Let me look over this. Let me look
Yeah,
at the time. 6:38. That matches for the exit.
Do the county attorneys see what I'm just trying to figure out item by item the timeline. Okay.
6:35.
It's better I do it than
I understand.
respondent
No, I
does.
understand.
Yeah.
I understand. Or 6:33. Give me some time. 'Cause
No, that's take your time. I mean, I thought we were going to be here all day, so we're not going to be.
Parked at 6:33. Violation 635. Exit. Can you repeat the question again?
Yeah,
So I can get the right answer.
Well,
Okay.
the way we got here is first I looked at page 2 and I understood your testimony regarding what page 2 of Exhibit F showed. It seems to me to be contradicted by page F, not in a way that defeats your case, but in a way that makes me need to understand better what's going on. So on page 4, what it appears to show is a boat connected to a truck. And it doesn't appear to me that it's been launched. But, and you know, the item on the photo, it says exit. And in your, well, I thought what you had testified on page 2 is that the violation occurs at the launch, which
Correct.
is 6:35 p.m.
Right?
How could that launch have occurred if the boat is still connected to the truck 3 minutes later? I think we're just not understanding the evidence. I suspect, is it the case that, yeah, I mean, I don't know if it launched.
I'm just thinking.
Yeah,
Because
okay.
I know from my understanding, like what the system considers a launch is,
Yeah.
is whenever somebody hits it. Now it does show it's still connected.
Yeah, the evidence to me looks like it's,
So it could have been a case where, okay, we got a picture of it, and then after that 3-minute time frame, maybe
Yeah.
they hadn't put the boat in the water physically. I think we're talking about
no.
semantics.
All right, then
Because we consider a launch whenever someone hits it, right? So, and that automatically gets generated.
But you
That-
could
that never
back
exists.
but you could back a boat in to the edge and not launch it and maybe and pull away. And I'm just saying based on these photos, you've got an exit caption on it. I don't know why the exit caption would be there if the boat is unless you guys missed the launch in the first place and then you're taking the boat out of the water and then that's an exit.
So, no. So the exit is the time frame in which we reconcile to see if there was a payment made and or not made, right? So we're saying the same thing, but the system says the exit, but it's not like a physical exit, right? So we just
what kind
So-
of exit is it?
no. So it says exit on here, but what I'm saying is that the 3 minutes between the time the play gets read, it says exit on here, but it's actually the time frame where the system checks or reconciles to see if someone's paid annually or someone's actually paid. So,
It just says exit for no reason.
well,
I mean, more or less. You're saying the
Well,
word doesn't really
the-
describe what's happening.
The terminology is typical of our parking lots. So typically with our parking lots, the enter and exit terminology makes sense because when you're entering the lot and exiting the lot. I think that might be partially where the
right. So that's probably partially confusing. This is more of a terminology, right? But the 3 minutes on our end it says exit, but that's
Well,
the time frame.
But here's your problem.
Okay.
And I may just reserve on this case and look at the next evidence because
Okay.
I'm curious about what these things show. My issue here is that you had initially testified, and I'm not, sea legs. You had initially testified that the boat launch has already occurred when the camera says it's occurred on 6:35. I have a
Correct.
photo 3 minutes later of the boat being connected to the truck.
Okay.
So forget the word exit for
Okay.
a second. That doesn't make sense to me. Are you saying the boat went in for 30 seconds and came out? It doesn't make sense. Do you understand what I'm saying?
No, what I'm saying is that
Do you want to revise your earlier testimony? Do you see what I'm saying?
no, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I'm going by how the system reads, right? So, like a physical, do we pick up a physical boat exit by a camera? No, right? But from our end, what we consider a launch is when the trailer goes on the boat launch. We consider that a launch, right?
Okay. Now,
You understand what I'm saying?
now
So-
I'm understanding what you're saying.
Right. So we consider that a launch. So it's kind
Okay,
of,
so what you're actually saying is that it's not the boat exiting the waterway, it's the boat exiting the parking lot and going into the water.
the
Boat launch.
the boat launch. On the
That
ramp.
is the
The launch.
exit. That
On
is
the-
the
on the
exit.
ramp. Right.
Okay. All right. Now I
That's
understand.
why it's only
Okay.
a few minutes.
Then why would it reflect that a violation occurred at 6:35? Is it just that it sat there for 6 minutes or 5 minutes and
Well, that's the time frame where it takes the system to go ahead and read to see if someone's paid or if the annual.
so the time between 6:33 and 6:35, 2 minutes, is how long it takes the system to read.
Right.
Okay.
Because on below that it says plate read, right? So
Okay.
it says
So I'm with you. And then 3 minutes later is when the boat launch occurred.
correct.
Okay. Now I'm with you.
Correct. I think we're saying the same thing, but it's kind of semantics. But we weren't saying
You
the same
weren't
thing.
saying the same
We
thing.
weren't saying the
we
same
now are you are now consistent, and I now
Okay.
understand what you're saying. So okay, and there's not going, based on how the cameras are located, there's not going to be a photo of the boat in the water. You're just going to have a photo of that boat, and your system does pick up that there's. Well, is it illegal under the ordinance that they just park there, or does the boat have to go into the water?
They can't physically park at a boat ramp. The ordinance does indicate that you can't impede.
Does someone have a copy of the ordinance?
Yes,
we do.
any person launching a watercraft at a county-owned boat ramp shall pay a launch fee, the amount of which shall be set by resolution of the board. That's section 106.48 sub A.
Is there any way that I could see a copy?
I've got.
I'm not a good oral listener or learner. As you can tell, I have difficulty listening. I love hearing myself, but it's just hard.
Yeah. Move with grace period too, right? So when you go over it.
In the future, it'd be helpful if there was a copy, just so I could. Thank you.
So whenever you go.
You have a copy too,
Whenever you
so
All
we'll
right.
make sure we
consider a
have
launch.
one provided.
When you hit that boat ramp, you get a read. That's a launch. You can't read like boat in the water stuff like that.
Right.
Not now.
Okay, I think the evidence supports this. I'm going to walk you through some of my thinking on it,
Okay.
just so we talk
That's
about
fine.
it. Section 106-48, subsection A, as quoted by Assistant County Attorney. Any person launching a watercraft at a county-owned boat ramp shall pay a launch fee, the amount of which shall be set by resolution of the board. So I think exhibits B through E probably they're necessary, but it'll also be necessary for the county to indicate in its evidence that it is a county-owned boat ramp. We could probably do this at the beginning of each hearing, just about these four. We just need to say that it's county-owned. It's like when you have a criminal case, you have to have a witness say, okay, it's in Citrus County, or you have to point to the defendant. I mean, it's kind of, but it's jurisdictional. And it does say, it just says launching. It doesn't really indicate that the boat has to be in the water. And I kind of agree. Why else would you bring a boat to where you show it on the cameras unless it's launching? I think this would be sufficient evidence to show that. It'd be up to a respondent to show up and argue that they were just doing it for fun.
Or learning how to back in.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't envy the person making that argument at this hearing, you know? So, okay, I understand the evidence. I'm glad we walked through it and kind of sorted it out. Let me just look a little bit more. I'm sure you want me looking more. Okay. page 4, 5, and are 4, 5, and no, these are different notifications. So tell me about 4, 5, 6, and 7. What are these pages? These are just notices of violation and then late notices? Are these copies of what was mailed?
Yes, there's a date on each one at which they were
Yeah.
mailed.
Well, there's a notice, there's a date on each one where the notification is generated.
Right. And so those are copies of the 3 different mailings that were sent out, and then the revised NOV, which was sent out to reflect the details of this continued date.
So on the last late notice, I see there appears to be something handwritten. Is that a tracking number?
Yeah, that was just a tracking number, which is the same as.
That's the UPS tracking number, I believe.
So back in the old days, before we had computers and software that created records and everything instantaneously, we still had the business records, exception to hearsay, but it was mostly for writing, things that were typewritten or written. But what you testified to on this page, I'm just bringing it up now so that we're all on the same page. This is a computer-generated document, but it has writing on it. So how do you explain how it's a business record that was generated and it reflects information at the time when it's clearly been modified? And can there be some testimony explaining that?
I wrote the tracking number because I knew that we needed to prove that it had in fact been delivered. I was trying to I didn't realize that was a mistake. I didn't realize that you couldn't.
I'm not saying it's a mistake.
Edit it.
It'll help it. Just answer my question. So, and by the way, I know how I sound. I'm not mad. I just want to go. I just want to walk step by step through this, so we build a foundation. And I would do this for a respondent if they showed up too, as unfortunately the county attorneys know very well. What I want to get at is, do you understand what I'm explaining, that this can't possibly be exactly what you testified to earlier, this last page? Because, well, unless, let me ask you, when did you write the tracking number on it?
After I got a certified mailing number for each single one that was sent out.
Okay, so
That
let's
way we could go back and look at that and type in the number
I get it. So
and match it to the.
that makes sense. Let's look at this document. So again, this is the last page of Exhibit F. There's a notification generated of November 10th, 2022. Now that doesn't say it was mailed on that date, though that was your testimony. You said it was the date of mailing. Is that true that it's both when it was printed as well as the date it was mailed?
Print/mail time.
Okay.
So it's
Okay, good.
distinguished as the same thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what that means is Premium Parking generates this record November 10th, mails it November 10th. Got it. And so based on your testimony, you would have written this number the day that it was mailed.
Yeah.
Okay. And is it your custom and practice to write the tracking number information on the late notice, or at least the last late notice, once it's mailed?
Yes.
All right. I didn't see it on the other ones. So, for example, on the one from October 9th, I don't see
Those
any mailing information.
Weren't all certified mailings. It was only on the certified mailings that it was
Okay.
written. So in order to comply with the county, we had to have the notifications of this hearing had to be sent certified. So anything that was sent certified has a tracking number written.
So I can ignore all the pages in this exhibit
Yes, that
that
was
don't
just-
have a certified
It
mailing
was just for
information.
for documentation purposes
Got it.
that they had been sent other things, just not certified.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Where does it require to be certified?
The statute.
That's the statute.
The notice statute. That's
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, this has been fun. We're learning a lot. I think that's adequate to satisfy the business records exception. I would just indicate that if you've modified a document with writing, that it's all, both the printing and the writing that modifies it are done at the same time.
Okay.
Okay. So now let me look at Exhibit G.
Yeah, and these don't have the numbers. I didn't write on the copy.
Okay.
It's just.
Okay. That's
I
fine.
have questions. So on Exhibit G, I see that the number matches the last page of Exhibit F. Yep. And, you know, Exhibit F indicates it was mailed November 10th, 2022. But the first date I see on Exhibit G is May 15th, 2023, 6 months later. And it says USPS picked up item, and then it departed the post office from Tampa, blah, 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 went to Jacksonville, and finally ended up in Morriston about 8 days later. I have no doubt, I've had issues with USPS, believe me, on mass mailings. But I'm wondering how it took 6 months for USPS to pick up the item on May 15th, 2023. Or is it that
That
the
was-
notice didn't go out until May?
The notice did not go out until May. That was an edited, the county wanted us to edit the original NOV that was sent instead of creating a new NOV. So it was sent with the previous mail date, or the previous generation date. But it was sent in May.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So the
Let's walk
notification.
back.
Continued hearing date, because they had sent notices out for the last hearing, they weren't served. So they had to resend,
But not under the same tracking number.
and I see your question.
Okay. Yeah.
I understand what you're getting at.
I know.
but they were mailed again
Listen,
in
we
May.
have another problem with testimony.
Mhm.
All right. So what you testified to was that this tracking number that's shown on Exhibit G for your amended, and I know why the notice of violation was, resent, and I'm familiar with that process. But what you testified to is that on that tracking number at the end of Exhibit F is what you used when it was mailed on November 10th. That's false.
Okay,
It
I
was
have
mailed.
ones without the number in. Can we just use those?
No. Let's. I want to talk about this.
Okay.
Do you understand what I'm saying already, or? Okay, so here's what I'm getting at. In Exhibit F, on the last page, there's a tracking number, and we talked about it.
Mhm.
That's the tracking number that shows up on Exhibit G. There's no doubt in my mind that the respondent got a copy of the notice of violation. I'm satisfied, but what your testimony said is that this page that you've admitted as a business record generated November 10th, mailed November 10th, and that tracking number shows that it was mailed on November 10th. That's false. On Exhibit G, we see that it was actually mailed in May, 6 months later. Do you get why I'm concerned about the mismatch?
Mhm.
So it's I honestly don't think it's a problem for the case. I don't think it's a problem on your evidence. This does show that notice occurred, but we don't have. I have impeached the last page of your Exhibit F, so I need to ask you more questions about it. I'm sorry, but this is. I want you to understand what I'm doing. Do you understand what I'm doing?
Yeah, we get it.
I'm trying to rehabilitate and understand the evidence you've given. I don't think it's intentional. I don't think that you're trying to misstate anything. I think that we're walking through kind of a complicated process for business records and how you prove things in a boat launch hearing. So what I think you meant to say was that the last page on Exhibit F indicates that this is a late notice and it was generated on November 10th, 2022. Let me ask you this. was this document that was generated on November 10th, 2022 ever actually mailed, certified or not?
Yes,
Okay. When was it actually mailed?
on November 10th.
Okay. Is there a copy of the document that was mailed in May?
That is,
Was it remailed? Is this like,
so.
was it mailed twice?
There's four.
Yeah, I see a
So,
bunch.
the
Yeah.
one before, the page that you're
Ah.
talking about, was the one that was mailed out on November
Got
the
it.
10th.
Got
This
it.
document was
Now we're getting
edited
there.
in
Okay.
May
Yep.
to reflect the new hearing information,
Thank you.
and the generation date simply was not changed.
Got it. Right.
So that's,
Good. So the page 6 of Exhibit F has the generation date of November 10th, 2022.
and
That's the document that was actually mailed on November 10th, but it
Yes.
wasn't mailed
Right.
certified, right?
Correct.
And that's why it doesn't have a tracking number.
Right.
Correct.
The page after it has the tracking number because the same copy was mailed, but 6 months later, and that's what's reflected in Exhibit G.
well,
And so in-
the edited version of it.
Yeah,
The
but
new, with the new date, yes.
right. Yes, I see that. Okay,
Right.
so there's a new date.
The county requested that the notice of the continued hearing date be printed on the original notice that went out.
I got it, and
Which is
and
why we just edited the previous
get it.
one that was
I get
sent
it.
out
I
instead
do, I
of
get
creating
it.
a whole
and
new.
so, I missed it because it's small print. I see it now. You're right. So I had asked you before when you wrote the tracking number on page 7, and you had indicated November 10th. I think you actually wrote it when it was mailed in
Yes,
May.
that's what I meant. Yes.
Okay.
I apologize.
Okay,
That's what I
Good.
meant.
All right, so that's solved. Is there anyone from the public who wants to be heard on this case? I don't see anybody. And I don't think there's anyone really challenge it. I understand the evidence. I'm going to think about it just for a second. Okay. Is there anything else that the county witnesses, whether from premium parking or the county, want to state on the record?
No, sir.
No.
I'll find in favor of the county that a violation has occurred and assess a first-time fee of $50 against Ms. Bradley, along with any administrative fees and costs that go along with it. Is there anything I'm missing from that order?
No.
Okay. All right. Thanks. Move on to the next case, and it's up to you if you want. I would suggest presenting them both at the same time, but, oh, and for the record, exhibits A through G are admitted on that case. Yep.
Okay.
As evidence.
The next two cases are with a Greg W. Erb with a first and second violation. First violation number 8169422. Second violation number 8291904. On November 9th, 2022, a person in a vehicle with Florida State tag number 12B WAT was recorded by surveillance camera launching a watercraft from the county-owned boat ramp located at McRae's in Homosassa. Records were checked to determine ownership of the vehicle. The records reflected that the vehicle was owned by the respondent, Greg W. Erb. The notice of violation was sent to the respondent by certified mail directing the respondent to pay the launch fee or appear at the hearing on June 9th, 2023. Again, on December 5th, same person, Greg W. Erb, with a vehicle with Florida State tag 12B WAT was recorded by surveillance camera launching a watercraft from the county-owned boat ramp located at McRae's in Homosassa as well. Records were checked to determine the ownership of the vehicle, and the records reflected that the vehicle was owned by the respondent, Greg W. Erb. A notice of violation was sent to this respondent by certified mail directing this respondent to pay a launch fee or appear at the hearing on June 9th, 2023. The respondent has not contacted the county regarding either notification. The respondent has not paid either of the launch fees. The first violation within the 6-month period of $50 with an administrative cost of $24.88. The second violation within this 6-month period would be the $250 with an additional $24.88 administrative cost.
I'm sorry, what would the latter be?
The latter would be $250 for the second violation with an additional $24.88 in administrative cost.
Okay, thank you.
I have been provided documentation from Premium Parking for both cases, both indicated with Exhibit F, indicating the violation number, who the respondent is, and all of the details indicating the timestamps of the launches. I also have Exhibit G that has been provided by Premium Parking with the USPS tracking numbers for both of these cases that I would like to provide to Premium Parking to verify these statements I've mentioned.
Thank you.
Well, that's good.
I'd like to ask the assistant county attorneys a question while we wait. So in the notice statute, you know, when it comes to like a standard code enforcement violation, the county uses the property appraiser cards. They're allowed to use the address for each parcel. Does the notice statute address using driver's license records or addresses to provide notice? Or I think that's what y'all do, if I recall. Premium Parking has access to the
So
database.
they have the access to the database, and so that's what they look up the tag through
Yeah.
where the vehicle belongs to.
Right. Okay.
Those fine.
Okay. I mean, that makes sense.
Okay.
And that gives somebody the opportunity to come in and
Yeah.
say, I wasn't launching the boat.
That's
that
right.
day.
That's true. Yeah.
Somebody else had my car.
Right. Fair enough.
Yes.
Cecilia, please. Thank you.
Have the witnesses had a chance to review these documents? And this is what's been proposed as exhibits F and G on each case, correct? Okay. Is that a yes?
Yes.
All right. Let me take a moment just to look through. Actually, before I look through them, do you want to lay a predicate for talk about these documents? And
Yeah, the exhibits that you're looking at are a record of premium parking, accounting the violation that occurred by Mr. Erb. In both cases, with a timestamp of when it occurred. It's a record that was made at or near the time of the launch, the event. It was a record made from information transmitted by a person with knowledge of the case, and this is a record that we do keep in the ordinary course of business activity at Premium Parking, and it is regular practice of our business to make such a record.
And any handwritten modifications done by you?
Yes, there was a tracking number added after to reflect the tracking number. you're seeing from the certified mail like presented in Exhibit G.
And was that done at the time the document was created or subsequent when you remailed it in May?
Subsequently, when it was remailed in May.
All right. I just have a question. I think first of all, I see the consistency in Exhibit F about the interval that it takes to verify the plate. So, as well as the time between the violation and the exit, it's 2 and 3 minutes every time. So
Right.
I think that's good evidence for the county. On case number, let's see, on number 2, 816-9422, there appear to be 2 certified mailings. I guess there was one. I mean, did y'all actually mail it originally on December 12th, 2022 as well?
Let us look that up.
No, that was to reflect this. That was the MPS tracking number.
So yeah, it was 2 certifications.
There were 2 certified mailings.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right, now I have a case where there's a first-time violation and a case where there's a second-time violation. In the second violation, the records in Exhibit F also show that the amount should be $50, but I presume that's just because there hasn't been a finding yet on the first case, so it's still, okay.
That's correct.
Okay. Is there anyone from the public who wants to be heard on this case? Let the record reflect there's no response. Is there any other testimony from the county?
No, sir.
In that case, I'll find that for violation ID 816-9422, a first-time violation of $50 be assessed, along with any administrative costs and fees required by the code. And then in violation ID 829-1904, I'll find for a second-time violation of $250 plus costs of $24.88. As well as any other costs that may be assessed by the code. Is there anything else you need?
No.
Okay, those are done. Exhibits F and G are admitted in each case along with A through E.
Okay, thank you.
You can do the next case.
Next 2 cases by the same individual, if I could present together.
Yeah.
Case number 4, violation number 8400364, along with case number 5, violation number 8453596, respondent John T. Holloway. On December the 28th, 2022, person in a vehicle with Florida State tag number QCJ4J was recorded by surveillance camera launching a watercraft from the county-owned boat ramp located at Fort Island Trail Park. Records were checked to determine ownership of the vehicle. Records reflected the vehicle was owned by respondent John T. Holloway. Notice of violation was sent to the respondent by certified mail, directing the respondent to pay the launch fee or appear at hearing on June the 9th, 2023. Respondent has not contacted the county regarding the notice of violation and has not paid the launch fee for this one. Again, on January the 28th, or I apologize, January 8th, 2023, a person in a vehicle with Florida State tag QCJ4J was recorded by surveillance camera launching a watercraft from the county-owned boat launch located at Fort Island Trail Park. Records were checked to determine ownership of the vehicle, and the records reflected the vehicle is owned by respondent John T. Holloway. Notice of violation was sent to the respondent by certified mail, directing the respondent to pay the launch fee or appear at this hearing on June 9th, 2023. Respondent has not contacted the county regarding this notice of violation nor has paid for the launch fee. The first violation of $50 with an administrative cost of $24.88, along with the second violation, which occurred within a 6-month period, of $250, along with an additional $24.88. Exhibits F on both cases provided by Premium Parking, indicating the respondent's information time-stamped of the occurrence, along with pictures of the trailer plate. And Exhibit G for both cases, indicating they were sent certified mail and were delivered to the individual.
These aren't certified mail signature required, are they? Or are they just certified with no signature required?
You guys require the certified card, right?
Yes.
They get the card in the mail, they have to sign it, and
Correct.
All right, so you're saying
It's
they've
just-
actually, well, they
No,
may
they
not
just-
sign
how are
it.
they-
Sometimes you get the card, they don't.
Sometimes you just get it, they don't
Correct.
sign it, right? But it's
Okay.
not delivered.
Right. Just asking now, is there anyone from the public who's going to want to be heard on this case? Let the record reflect there is no response.
That's the first one, second one.
Is this a new gavel? It is.
just special for
Where,
this.
yeah, where'd that come from?
Leave it to Cecilia. She
Okay.
surprises me every time.
Okay.
This one. I got 2 days. Sounds good. Sounds good to go.
Here, what we're looking at are 2 exhibits that are records created by Premium Parking, reflecting information in relation to the violations by Mr. Holloway, showing the timestamp at which the violation occurred when he launched the boat. The records were made at or near the time of the event from information transmitted by a person with knowledge. This is a record that we do keep in the ordinary course of our business activity, and it is a regular practice of Premium Parking to make such a record. I would also like to include that the Exhibit F has been slightly modified to include a tracking number which matches with the tracking number in Exhibit G, showing that it has been in fact delivered with the individual, and this was made when this was resent in May.
As reflected by the date on Exhibit G.
Yes.
Okay.
What is it? What is it?
All right. In Exhibit F on the photos, this is the first case I've seen where the boat is already off the trailer at the time of the exit point. So we had talked a little bit earlier that, at least on the other cases, the photo's taken when it's in the process of launching. I guess it's being backed in. Why is it different on this case or on these cases? Is it just that he gets the boat off the trailer real quick, or?
He probably, in my opinion, he probably is an experienced boater that just got it in
Gets
real
the thing
quickly, and it didn't go through the process of doing the at paint.
Doesn't look like it's a big boat that he might have had either, you know.
Well, he has a Marine Corps plate, so maybe he's experienced.
Yeah,
being
yeah,
Marine.
it's
So,
possible.
That's
It's
just
possible.
my opinion, right? So
Um,
that's not a statement of fact, but
my dad was a Marine, but he didn't do a lot of navigation on boats. Let me see.
Maybe he was trying to beat the camera.
Yeah, I mean, let the record reflect that even if it was otherwise, I don't see why he'd be backing the trailer in unless a launch had occurred. So, I think is there anything else the county wants to put into the record?
The other possibility, we do have those that will launch their boat. They'll pay the launch fee. They don't realize that that expires. So when they say he was beyond the 24-hour and he came back to, or he or she came back to retrieve the boat, did not pay the launch fee again to pull that boat out of that launch.
Oh, so the boat could have just been in the water the whole time?
Right, they launch and then they may stay at a property, an Airbnb or, a rental or something on a weekend or for a week.
Wow.
And if they're not paying attention to their notifications,
Okay.
that they need to pay that launch fee every 24 hours.
I mean, that's not a bad theory. I mean, this is about 10, 11 days apart on these cases.
Mm-hmm.
However, the boat's not on the trailer in either of the photos. So it seems to me that's probably not likely in this case, right? But you're saying that if I had a case on December 28th where the boat was on the trailer and then the next
Right.
time,
They were retrieving it days later.
but if
And
they were retrieving it days later, that would not be a violation.
if they did, they would still have to pay to back that trailer down to retrieve the boat out of the launch. They would have to pay. If they hadn't paid every 24 hours while they were out on the water, like that day, had they paid it, and
Really?
then came to retrieve the boat. That's how the system's set up.
The launch is good for 24 hours.
Oh, that's really interesting. Okay. Let me check the ordinance on that. It's not an issue for this case. I'm going to find 2 violations. I'm interested in what you're saying. It's a daily fee for the launching of watercraft. Well, I guess we'll see if that holds up later. All right, so on violation ID 8400364, I'll assess a first-time fine of $50 along with administrative costs. I think you testified as $24.88 in both cases as
Correct.
the administrative costs. And then in case or violation ID 8453596, $250 plus those administrative costs.
Correct.
Thanks. Oh, the exhibits F and G are admitted along with standing through all the cases. A through E will be admitted. Yeah.
Thank you. Case number 6, violation number 7842186, Brandon L. Mayfield. On September the 4th, 2022, person in a vehicle, Florida State tags number HIHH28, was recorded by surveillance camera launching a watercraft from the county-owned boat ramp located at Fort Island Gulf Beach. Records were checked to determine the ownership of the vehicle. The records reflected the vehicle was owned by the respondent, Brandon L. Mayfield. Notice of violation was sent to the respondent by certified mail directing the respondent to pay the launch fee or appear at this hearing today, June 9th, 2023. Respondent has not contacted the county regarding the notice of violation and has not paid the launch fee. This first violation would be $50 for the administrative fine with an additional $24.88 for administrative cost. I've been provided Exhibit F by Premium Parking indicating verifying Brandon L. Mayfield's information, plate number, time-stamped information of when the launch occurred. I've also have Exhibit G, which indicates the certified mail tracking information that I would like them to verify.
Thank you. And is there anyone from the public who wants to be heard on this case? There is no response. That daily fee thing is,
Buy an annual
This-
pass.
Okay.
well, no, I mean, I think
For
it's,
the annual
I just
pass, so
wonder
cheap.
if that's what the ordinance says. All right, I have Exhibit F and G.
Yes, so this is a record, this exhibit is a record of premium parking showing the details surrounding the violation of Mr. Mayfield. It has a timestamp of when the violation occurred upon launching the boat. This is a record that was made at or near the time of the event, the launching. It was a record made from a person, from information transmitted by a person of knowledge. Premium Parking does keep this record, this type of record, in the ordinary course of our ordinary business activity. And it is a regular practice of our business to make such a record. Would like to add that part of Exhibit F has been modified with some handwritten, with a handwritten tracking number, which matches to the number in Exhibit G, proving that the notification was in fact delivered to the individual. And that was added when it was mailed in May.
It does show that an individual picked it up at the post office in Exhibit G. I'll admit Exhibits F and G. Is there any other testimony from the county?
No.
Okay. I will find that there is a $50 fee that should be assessed pursuant to a violation of Section 106-48A, along with administrative costs that have been put onto the record. That's it. Thanks.
Next two cases, 7 and 8, Stacy M. Mole. Violation number 8215903. Second violation 8314478. First violation on November the 18th, 2022. Person in a vehicle with Florida state tags 15A CAV was recorded by surveillance cameras launching a watercraft from the county-owned boat ramp located at Fort Island Gulf Beach. Records were checked to determine ownership of the vehicle. The records reflected the vehicle was owned by respondent Stacy M. Mole. A notice of violation was sent to the respondent by certified mail directing the respondent to pay the launch fee or appear here today, June 9th, 2023. Again, on December the 9th, 2022, a person in a vehicle with Florida state tags 15A CAV was recorded by surveillance camera launching a watercraft from the county-owned boat ramp located at McRae's in Homosassa. Records were checked to determine ownership of the vehicle. The records reflected that the vehicle was owned by the same respondent, Stacy M. Mole. Notice of violation was sent to the respondent by certified mail, directing respondent to pay the launch fee or appear at the hearing today, June 9th, 2023. Respondent has not contacted the county regarding either notice of violation nor has paid the launch fee. The first administrative fine of $50 plus administrative costs $24.88 for the first violation. Second violation, since it was within the 6-month period, would be an additional $250 for the fine, as well as administrative cost of an additional $24.88. Premium Parking has provided within Exhibit F verification of this individual's information, along with the time stamp of the launch that did occur. They have that for both cases, as well as USPS tracking indicating it was delivered and left with the individual.
All right, is there anyone from the public who wants to be heard on these cases? There's no response. Yes, sir. I've been looking at these exhibits and I've noticed certain check marks by information. Are those marks that you're making
Yes.
on the exhibits at the hearing?
Yes.
Okay.
Just double check and make sure that
I
The humans agree with the
wouldn't
machines.
in the future write on the exhibits just
Okay.
because questions can get asked, but you know.
all right, that's fine. We have copies.
I'm
too,
not
so-
trying to prevent you from having fun. I need to do that too.
No, we have copies of our own, so
Okay.
I'm probably checking the exhibit copy instead of our copies.
Yes.
So,
In practice, you know, this being a quasi judicial proceeding, it's really not a big deal, but yeah.
okay, that was fine. So it's ready to go.
So what we are looking at are, these exhibits are records made from Premium Parking, showing details of 2 violations occurred by Stacy Mole, with details showing the timestamp of when the violations occurred, as well as information on who the individual is. This record was made at or time the year that the event occurred. It was made from information transmitted by a person with knowledge. This is a record that we do keep in the ordinary course of business activity at Premium Parking, and it is a regular practice of our business to make such a record. Exhibit F has been modified to have a handwritten tracking number, which matches to the number shown in Exhibit G. Which is the proof that the certified letter was in fact left with an individual and delivered. And that was edited when it was sent out in May.
Okay, the evidence is sufficient to find violations in each case. In violation ID 8215903, I'll assess a first-time fine of $50 plus administrative costs. And in violation ID 8314478, the fine will be, because it's a first repeat, $250 plus, I'm sorry, I did say 8314478, $250 plus administrative fees and costs. Thank you. Exhibits F and G are admitted in each case.
Case number 9, Donald Ray Sparkman, violation number 8360206. On December 18, 2022, a person in a vehicle with Florida State tags number Y082SI was recorded by surveillance camera launching a watercraft from the county-owned boat ramp located at Fort Island Trail Park. Records were checked to determine ownership of the vehicle. The records reflected the vehicle was owned by respondent Donald Ray Sparkman. A notice of violation was sent to the respondent by certified mail, directing the respondent to pay the launch fee or appear at this hearing today on June 9th, 2023. The respondent has not contacted the county regarding this notice of violation, nor has paid the launch fee. We recommend, as it's a first violation, a $50 administrative fine, along with an administrative cost of $24.88. Premium Parking has provided Exhibit F, indicating the respondent's information, the timestamp of the launch that did occur. Exhibit G does reflect that it was sent certified mail and that it was left with the individual.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone from the public who wants to be heard on this case? Let the record reflect the answer is no.
Those are our copies. That's their copy. I want to mark up the exhibit.
There we go.
All right. This exhibit is a record created by Premium Parking showing details surrounding the violation which occurred at the boat ramp. The timestamp shows the date when Mr. Sparkman violated, as well as some information about the individual. And the record was made at or near the time the event occurred. It was made from or by a person, from information transmitted from a person with knowledge. This is a record that we keep in the ordinary course of our business activity at Premium Parking. It is a regular business practice of Premium Parking to make such a record. And I will note that I added a handwritten tracking number to Exhibit F, which should match the number in Exhibit G, showing that the certified mailing was in fact delivered to said individual.
Okay.
And this was edited in May when it was sent.
Is there any other testimony from the county?
No.
I do find that a violation has occurred. I'll assess a fine of $50 plus administrative costs. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Exhibits F and G are admitted.
Next two cases, case 10 and 11, Joel Richard Weisner. Notice of violation 7986885. Second notice of violation 8065546. On October 4th, 2022, a person in a vehicle with Florida State tag PVAN30 was recorded by the surveillance cameras launching the watercraft from the county-owned boat ramp located at Fort Island Trail Park. Records were checked to determine owner of the vehicle. The records reflected the vehicle was owned by respondent Joel Richard Weisner. Notice of violation was sent to the respondent by certified mail, directing the respondent to pay the launch fee or appear at the hearing here today, June 9th, 2023. Again, on October 20th, 2022, a person in the vehicle with Florida State tag PVAN30 was recorded by surveillance camera launching a watercraft from the county-owned boat ramp located at Fort Island Trail Park. Records were checked to determine ownership of the vehicle, and the records reflected the vehicle was owned by this respondent, Joel Richard Weisner. Again, a notice of violation was sent to the respondent by certified mail, directing the respondent to pay the launch fee or appear here at the hearing today, June 9, 2023. Respondent has not contacted the county regarding either notice of violation, nor has paid the launch fee of either one. The first violation would be an administrative fine of $50 with additional administrative cost of $24.88. The second violation would be an administrative fine of $250 with additional administrative costs of $24.88. I have been provided Exhibit F for both cases indicating the information of the respondent, the timestamps of the date and times of the launch. Premium Parking has also provided Exhibit G, which is the tracking numbers on both cases indicating both that they were left with this individual.
Is there anyone from the public who wants to be heard on these cases? There is no response.
All right, these exhibits that we're looking at are records of premium parking that are showing details surrounding two boat launch violations occurred by the same person, Mr. Weissner. They show the timestamp on which each violation occurred and confirm that it was this individual that did violate. The record was made at or near the time of the event that occurred. It's a record made from information made by or from information transmitted by a person with knowledge. It is a record that we keep in the ordinary course of business activity at Premium Parking under regular business practices to make such a record. And I will say that Exhibit F has been modified with a handwritten tracking number that was added, which matches the tracking number found in Exhibit G, which shows that the notification was delivered and received by the individual. And that was added when it was mailed in May.
And that's for each case.
Yes.
Yep. All right, is there any other testimony from the county?
No, there is no.
For violation ID 7986885, a first-time fine of $50 plus administrative costs will be assessed. For violation ID 8065546, a fine of $250 plus administrative costs will be assessed. Exhibits F and G are admitted in each case.
Thank you. And our final case for today, case number 12, Louise A. Williams, violation number 8324425. On December 11th, 2022, a person in a vehicle with Florida State tags number 758 PSA was recorded by surveillance cameras launching the watercraft from a county-owned boat ramp located at McRae's in Homosassa. Records were checked to determine ownership of the vehicle. The records reflected the vehicle was owned by the respondent, Louise A. Williams. A notice of violation was sent to the respondent by certified mail directing the respondent to pay the launch fee or appear here today at this hearing on June 9th, 2023. Respondent has not contacted the county regarding this notice of violation, nor has paid the launch fee. This is the respondent's first violation. It's recommended administrative fine of $50 with additional administrative cost of $24.88. Premium Parking has provided Exhibit F with the respondent's information, the timestamp that the launch occurred, with copies of the notice of violation. Exhibit G does indicate that they did make an attempt to notify this individual, certified mail, and it indicates on May the 17th, 2023, the individual refused.
Is there anyone from the public who wants to be heard on this case? Nope.
All right, this exhibit is a record produced by Premium Parking showing details surrounding the boat launch violation by Louise Williams. They include the timestamp at which the violation occurred and information confirming that this was the individual that violated. The record was made at or near the time that the event occurred. It was a record made by or from information transmitted by a person with knowledge. This is a record that we do keep in ordinary course of business activity at Premium Parking, and it is regular practice of our business at Premium Parking to make this type of record. Exhibit F has been modified to include a handwritten tracking number, which matches the number found in Exhibit G, which in this case shows that the individual refused to accept the violation or the notification.
It's interesting. So I'd like to ask the assistant county attorneys a question. So obviously this one was refused, so this person's never, we don't know if they know or not about the hearing. They could have known. Is that sufficient notice? Yeah, in
We
the code.
think they're dodging notice.
Yeah.
That's-
I mean, but in the code enforcement context, if they can't get mail, if they're not mailed it, if they can't give them by hand delivery,
They can post.
they post. And even then, they could try to ignore it, right? So is this sufficient notice under the statute?
We believe so. There's no mechanism for posting
Yeah.
because it's a vehicle
Okay.
at the launch. So
Okay. Is there any other testimony from the county?
No, there's not.
All right. I'll assess a $50 fine pursuant to the ordinance and administrative costs. I'll admit exhibits F and G as evidence. And I think that was the last case.
It is.
Okay, before we conclude, just one thing. I don't think I need to issue an administrative order on this, but exhibits A through E, I'm not going to admit beforehand at the future hearings. This was a continued hearing. They're already admitted, as the attorneys pointed out. So I just think we'll want to start, maybe we already talked about this, but we'll just start with those at the beginning of each hearing.
Yes, of each hearing.
Okay, all right. Is there any other business that anyone wants to take up before we adjourn? Okay. Time is 10:03. This hearing is adjourned.